Scarlett Johansson. She sued Disney, claiming the entertainment giant deprived her of untold Black Widow box office profits by offering the Marvel blockbuster on its streaming service. And for more on this, let's bring in our esteemed trial lawyer and co-host of the Reasonable Doubt podcast, Mark Aragus, and business and market analyst Seth Denson. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Mark, I want to start with you. So Scarlett Johansson says she's lost out of upwards $50 million with the streaming release. Her contract for the movie allegedly had terms for a bonus based on box office performance that guarantees a wide theatrical release. Does this A-list celebrity, does she have a case here?
She does have a case, and she's got a legal team that actually was sent to arbitration on the Bones case and did very well in the arbitration. So now the question is, but the way that they've framed the pleading, meaning the actual lawsuit, is to try to avoid arbitration. And I think kind of the backstory to this is that her agent, who is one of the most storied agents in Hollywood, has come out very strongly on her behalf. And there's a lot of people talking about how this has kind of pitted talent against the studios in terms of streaming, because there's obviously been a huge sea change in the revenues that have been happening, obviously because of COVID and otherwise, between theaters and the streaming services.
Yeah, streaming obviously now is so big, and then especially with COVID. Seth, from Elizabeth Taylor to Kevin Costner, Hollywood stars have for decades, they've gone after studios to get paid for their contractual due. From a business perspective, do you think that Johansson may be kicking off a new movement of talent not willing to accept Hollywood's accounting in the streaming era?
Well, I think this is certainly a bellwether for what's to come, right? I mean, you got to think about it. Matter of fact, there was a story out this morning that Emma Stone and some of these others are already starting to look at their contracts to say, what does the future hold for me? And it's understandable that they're doing this, right? I mean, as you think about it, as Mark even mentioned, right? During the pandemic specifically, these streaming services raked in billions in releasing movies this way. If you look at where we are currently, about half of movie theaters aren't actually even open right now. And so with so much of the compensation for these actors being tied to box office performance, this is one of those things where the devil is in the details. And many of these agents that represent these folks are likely going to start looking at those details. And all future contracts, they're going to have streaming clauses in them.
Yeah, Mark, Seth just mentioned Emma Stone. So she's reportedly weighing her own options after Scarlett Johansson's Disney lawsuit. Do you see this as the beginning of major lawsuits ahead?
Well, I'm old enough to remember Olivia de Havilland and her lawsuit, and that was kind of one of the pivotal points in Hollywood. I think, yes, this is going to be a kind of a battleground, a legal battleground, both in the transactional part, which means when the agents and the lawyers are negotiating their deals with talent in the studios, and also legally. I think that there's, the studios are not going to give up this revenue stream because of the sea change I talked about. So yes, I think this has a much bigger and more rippling effect on the whole talent studio dynamic.
Mark, just a quick follow-up question on that, because they did come out with a statement and basically put in what she makes as a salary. Do you think that was kind of like a little jab and attack, saying like, look, you already make enough money?
Disney clearly here, at least their PR people, did quite a mic drop. There's been a lot of people who speculated whether or not they would have done that to a male star. And I know that I've heard that scuttlebutt here in Hollywood all over the weekend as to would they have done the same thing if this was A, B, or C who was a male. Yep. Yeah, I thought that was some pretty it was what I would call a forearm shiver. But remember, this is a not inconsequential term between the studios and talent. If they have to start giving up a larger portion of their streaming revenue, we're going to be talking $20 million is going to look like a drop in the bucket for an A-list star.
Yeah, exactly. Seth, before we go, there's a California law taking effect January 1st, and it's requiring more space for breeding pigs, egg-laying chickens, and veal calves. Experts are now warning that the state's pork supply could be at risk once these rules are enforced. So do you think bacon could disappear from California?
Well, I don't know that it disappears, but it's going to be more expensive than the filet mignon, that's for sure. I mean, if you look at California right now, right, California utilizes about 250 million pounds of pork a month. Well, in their own state, they only produce about 40 million pounds. So they have to go externally, and this law expands beyond just pork that is, we'll call it manufactured in California, and it's going on into other places. And so this actually could have an impact nationwide to pork prices, because if pork farmers have to reset up their system to comply with California law, which most would because California, purchases so much of this, then the cost of pork, well, it's going up for everybody.
Oh, I hope it doesn't. My daughter loves bacon. All right, thank you so much. Mark Aragos and Seth Denson. Have a great week, gentlemen. Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Hey, I'm Rob Finnerty. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please join the conversation in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, too. Hit the bell icon to be alerted to breaking news. And remember, there's a whole lot more on Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news network. Newsmax TV, where real news for real people.